if you come to think of it, pag sinabing masungit mataray, it's usually associated to a to track, of course, to be in tune with those feelings, your productivity as well, and of course, how to regulate your emotions better. How does it look like to be a woman stepping into her femininity despite all these chaotic experiences? What's the beauty behind that? So,
Mental health ka dyan.
to begin with, Morgan, I want to know, can you walk us through like ano yung mga feelings na na-encounter ng isang babae when it comes to menstruation before we talk about the phases? Okay, so common feelings, I guess, I'm sure you've all experienced what people call premenstrual syndrome, PMS, as we're more familiar with it as PMS. So it's usually that time of the month wherein everything is heightened. Your emotions, you feel a bit sluggish, not yourself, basically. And it's usually that time of the month when you're about to get your period. So I guess that's the dominant feeling. Because honestly, when you're not in your PMS phase, everything just feels normal. It's just that time of the month where you feel like, wait, parang something is off. And then you check your cycle app or for me, I use the Flow app. I check. And then most of the time, okay, it signals me, you are about to get your period in 6 days. And I'm like,
Is that accurate?
yes, yes. And the thing lang is you have to be tracking consistently. I would say give it 3 months or 6 months consecutively, and then you'll be surprised. Like the app knows you better than you know your cycle sometimes. So yun. So that's, I would say, the most common and most dominant feeling that women feel on a monthly basis.
So, how is it important that you track your cycle? Kasi, parang ako, never ko siyang na-track. And parang, my experience is parang ngayon, since I'm spending time more with myself, parang mas ngayon ko siya napapansin. Like, for example, kahapon, kaya very timely itong episode natin. Kasi nga, kahapon, very irritable ako. Tapos, nung chinek ko last month, kailan ako magkakaroon? Parang next week magkakaroon na ako.
Oh, yeah.
Ayun.
Exactly.
So, okay. Pero, before ako dumating sa ganitong parang awareness, years back, parang I feel like it's just the same. Pero, baka hindi ko lang napapansin. So,
yes.
why is it important that you track your cycle kahit na sobrang busy ka?
Yes. So, actually, like, coming from what you said, what gets tracked gets managed, diba? Like, I mean, similar to your expenses, I guess, and among other things in your life that needs tracking. But for your period, so actually, it's important to track, of course, to be in tune with those feelings, how you can optimize your energy throughout the month,
your productivity as well, and of course, how to regulate your emotions better.
Yes.
Especially kasi sometimes, diba, when you manifest with a little bit more irritability, it's not just you Sometimes you get to carry it out to the people around you.
Yeah.
Diba? And if they don't understand na, ay, magpe-period na yan, you can't assume naman din na parang pag magpe-period ka na, alam ng mga tao
Yes.
around you, diba?
Mm-mm.
But I guess it would be helpful if you yourself are aware na, oh, okay, magpe-period na ako. Para you can give the people around you heads up na, okay, especially like the ones you live with,
Mhm.
diba? Parang, oh, I'm expecting my period this week, so a little more patience, please. Ganon. But aside from that, yun, what gets tracked gets managed. So in terms of, like, in the medical sense of things naman, let's say, for example, you develop certain conditions, which is really common these days. Like, a lot of women experience or get diagnosed with PCOS.
Mhm.
So the first thing your OB will ask you is, when was the first day of your last mens?
Mhm.
Kasi the common symptom kasi of PCOS is irregular periods or amenorrhea. That just means na hindi ka nagkaka-period regularly. So usually, a lot of people get missed periods for 3 months, 6
Mhm.
months. So if you're not tracking your cycle, you wouldn't know. Like,
Mm-mm.
kailan nga ba ako last nagka-period?
Yeah.
Diba sa sobrang tagal? Like, 6 months, honestly, feels so long. Like, do you remember what you were doing last December? Diba parang it feels like ages ago? So, thankfully, these days, technology makes it so convenient. Like, there are a lot of apps that are free, actually. And then, if wala namang access to those apps, honestly, you can just literally mark your calendar sa
Yeah.
planner. So, the way to track is, your day 1 of your cycle is actually your first day of menses. And sometimes kasi, diba, yung menses natin, it's not outright like blood.
Mm-mm.
Diba? Sometimes it's spotting. Ganon.
So, kasama na yon. Kahit
kasama na
hindi pa
yun.
siya heavy flow.
Kahit hindi pa siya heavy
Oh.
flow. So, once you start seeing na, like, kunyari, yun nga, you get, like, blood,
Mhm.
no matter how few, or, yeah, you can mark it as your day 1.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's good to know.
Mhm.
And I love that you mentioned about emotional regulation. That when you're aware of your cycle,
Mm-mm.
it gives you a chance to, syempre, aware ka, alam mo nangyayari sa emotions mo.
Yes. Kasi
So,
sometimes we gaslight ourselves na
Mm-mm.
parang, hala, what's happening to me? Why am I suddenly this
Yeah.
month? Like, what's wrong with me?
Mm-mm.
Like, usually you think na, hala, I'm a bad person. But
Yeah.
really, it's really just your hormones being whack.
Mm-mm.
Sometimes, yun nga, parang you're more irritable, you're less patient,
Mm-mm.
easily annoyed, mas mabilis magalit.
Oo.
Diba? So, sometimes you tend to think na, am I the problem? But actually, it's really just your hormones making you feel uncomfortable, that make it more challenging for you to
Mm-mm.
control your feelings and emotions.
Yes. Tapos the people around you would think na, ang attitude nito.
Yes. Laging ganun, no? It's always like,
Oo.
masungit yan.
Oo.
Actually, if you come to think of it, pag sinabing masungit mataray, it's usually, you associate it to a woman, not a man.
Oh,
Right?
that's good. Oo.
Because, like, ever since, ganun talaga, like, a woman goes through so many phases, not just the menstrual cycle, but actually even, like, perimenopause,
Mm-mm.
which starts at age 35. Menopause.
Mm-mm.
Yun, sobrang mas grabe yun actually. Like, your hormones really change so much. And
Mm-mm.
yun, so those are just
Oh,
examples.
that's a nice observation, Oo
Naisip ko
nga,
lang
no?
din now.
Baka dahil biologically, that's how we're wired.
Yes,
That's how we're different.
Yes.
Right?
Mhm.
Okay, so sige. Dun sa naman, yun sa cycle syncing. Okay, I
Mhm.
want to know about different phases. Kasi
Okay.
ang alam lang namin before is
Period.
yung
Period
mismong
and not period. Yeah.
Oo, yun lang.
Mm.
So yeah, can you walk us through those different phases?
Okay, sige. So, let's talk about your menstrual cycle. So, you can think of it as day 1 to 30. So, a whole
Mhm.
month. So, the first 5 days, or sometimes even 7, day 1 to 5 is your menstruation. So, this is when you start bleeding. Diba?
Mhm.
So, for different people, it lasts for different durations. But for us, siguro mga 5 days, no? Of
Mhm.
bleeding.
If
and
it's 7, is it
it's
still
still
normal?
normal.
Okay.
Yes, it's still normal. So, day 1 to 7, that's your menstruation.
Mhm.
Then, after that, you go through, so day 1 to 14 is actually your follicular phase. And then, day 1 to 7 is your menstruation. And then, from day 7 to day 14, is a part of your follicular phase. And then, during this time, your follicular phase, ito na yung actually the week after your period, that's when you feel your best.
Oh.
Yes, it's like you're a new person, reborn.
Okay.
Your energy levels are high because it is primarily because of the hormone called estrogen. So you can think of estrogen as energy. Estrogen, energy. So this is where you want to book your schedule, show up in different events. Actually, like what your client shared, she knows a person who shoots all her content during this phase, day 0 to 14.
Yeah.
Yeah. In terms of working out naman, you also have, of course, more energy during this phase. So this is probably when you want to like really be consistent in the gym, parang save for the rainy days na.
Oh, okay. So, yung ganong mga, like for example, strength training. Ganon,
Yeah.
For follicular.
Yes. Although ako personally, I recommend doing strength training all month long. But I'm just saying that you can optimize this period to, really be consistent. Try your best not to miss a session. Kasi your body is actually primed to receive the stimulus that you get from working out. So, yun. Then comes ovulation. So, that's day 14. So, that signals the mid or the middle of your cycle. So, day 14, diba? Kasi 30 days long. So, this is when your ovaries pump out your egg cell. So, I'm just simplifying this. So, eto. So, lalabas na niyo yung egg cell, and then if there is a sperm ready to fertilize it, and then it fertilizes it, tas nagkaka-baby. Ngayon, for most of us, ang nangyayari is lumalabas lang yung egg cell, and then walang sperm na nag-fertilize. So, yung egg cell na yun is basta may mga nangyayari, and then it turns into menstruation again.
Oh, okay.
Parang ganon. So, yun. So, after ovulation, so let's say walang sperm, diba? So, you then enter your luteal phase. So, regardless if merong sperm or walang sperm, your body kind of gets primed for pregnancy.
Oh.
So, dito naman, ang tumataas na hormone is your progesterone. So, you can remember that as P, progesterone, pregnancy. So, it doesn't necessarily mean naman na your body is preparing you for pregnancy, so mabubuntis ka. Kasi nga, kailangan mo nga ng sperm for that, diba? But, like, the actual changes that happens when you're trying to get pregnant or when you get pregnant actually still happens. So, dito yung parang yun nga, medyo mas bumababa yung energy mo. Yun yung, ito rin, super common, tataas yung appetite.
Okay.
So, ito, kaya it usually coincides during that period of your PMS, diba? Usually, you get all these cravings. You get a bit more takaw. It's really, backed by science because your metabolism or metabolic rate actually increases during this phase. And then, aside from that, you also get symptoms like sluggishness, cramps, sometimes.
So, cramps even before
Yes. As early as like, probably 2 weeks before your period. A week before your period sometimes. Yeah, like when it's close na. So, yeah, among other things. So, then it lasts for 2 weeks also. And then, after that, after your luteal phase, so what happens is your aligning of your uterus sheds. Yung pag nag-gets na ng uterus mo na, okay, so we're not pregnant. So, it's time to shed. So, yun. That's what becomes your menstruation. So, ulit. Day 1, ganun ulit. You're gonna get your menses, and then you're gonna ovulate again. And then, back to your luteal phase.
Okay. So, I want to talk about mga kasi you mentioned about yung gym na parang best fit siya for follicular, right?
Yes.
But before I go there, I want to ask muna further. Kasi this topic could be something new to a lot of people.
Women, yeah.
Diba? So, okay, if they ask na, do you still encounter people who say na, hindi mo totoo yan? Parang gano'n, na parang, wala, mens lang yan, ganon.
Yes, definitely. Especially like, for example, or at least in my space, sometimes, kasi so I'm into sports, I'm into running, I'm into physical activity. Sometimes, I remember before, like for example, you would ask to get excused for a demanding physical activity. Parang, pag sinabi mo na, oh, I'm having really bad period cramps, parang hindi sila convinced. Ganon. Or, their instinct is to just let you drink pain relievers.
Yes.
But the thing is, pain relievers kasi are not well tolerated by everyone. And honestly, Especially in sports, there are actually studies that say that the use of pain relievers can be harmful to your kidneys, especially if you're dehydrated. So, parang it's just sad that that's the only option for us women.
Yes. Mm-mm.
And that's usually just addressing like a band-aid solution eh. Like the cramps are already there, and so you give pain relievers to relieve the cramps. But then sometimes kasi there are actually ways to alleviate or to at least try to mitigate yung symptoms mo pag nagkakaroon ka ng period.
Mm-mm. What could happen if continuous yung pag-take ng pain reliever?
Yun nga, it could be damaging to your kidney, especially if you're not aware of your hydration status. So usually, kunyari, dehydrated ka. Sometimes kasi when we're super busy, we tend to neglect our water intake, diba? Like, before you realize, parang, di pa ka uminom ng water the whole day. Especially if you're not sweating. Like, you're just indoors, diba? So then, for example, you mindlessly take pain reliever kasi di mo na kaya ma-tolerate and it affects your productivity. So, yun. So, I mean, it's less likely to happen, but it can happen. And I just hope that it's talked about more because sometimes if you just go to for example, if you go to the pharmacy and then you tell them na, do you have anything there for menstrual cramps? So they'll just give you pain relievers.
Automatic yun na yun.
Without knowing like, safe ba to?
Yes.
That's her usual instinct.
May tendency ba na ma-affect ng pain relievers ang hormones or wala naman?
That I'm not sure, but actually, generally no naman. Like, especially if it's just like one time. And sometimes it's actually really warranted. So there are conditions na they really get super painful periods. So that's called endometriosis. And then sometimes, because some like, they really faint.
Oo, yun nga.
Oo. So, yun, sige, parang sometimes it would really warrant the use of pain relievers. But generally, just the same, for me, if you notice that you've been getting painful periods every month, especially at our age, usually at like 20s
the range
to 30s.
Of 20 to 30s. Like,
or even 40s,
early.
actually.
Oh, okay.
It's not normal to have like really painful periods every month. So, that should be a sign na, you should get yourself checked up na. Because there could be like conditions going on there that are causing yung painful periods.
So whenever someone is telling you na parang, yun nga, may doubt sila regarding this. Though it's backed by science. Pero kasi, yung iba kasi parang, syempre, sa generation, parang we were able to handle that nang wala namang di ba? Ganun. So how do you parang explain to them further so they can understand their children even more? When it comes to their cycles. Kasi, di ba, yun nga, aside from being able to regulate your emotions, ganyan, another thing that I'd like to ask is, how does it affect your mental well-being when you're not aware of your cycle?
I guess, well, personally, it affects your mental well-being in a way that you can get frustrated with how you show up on a day-to-day basis. Like, for example, especially for certain personality types. Type A personality, diba? Parang they kind of expect a lot from themselves, and sometimes they kind of expect that they're productive every day.
So type A, these are parang alpha,
high achievers.
Oh, okay.
Yung mga, very driven and motivated by work, by progress, by achievements. So, it can get frustrating. And sometimes that frustration can grow into something more like depression, anxiety. So, I think it's important to be aware because you understand na, okay, I can't show up at this level every week of the month. Some weeks of the month, my productivity dips, and that's okay because I can bawi when I'm feeling much better. So, and of course, having that awareness also can help you communicate that to the people around you so they understand you also. Like, for example, I know it's like, for example, I'm just citing this, but I don't really mean to, relate it to an actual scenario. But like, for example, you can communicate to your boss or to your colleagues na I'm really not feeling my 100% today. I know it's like, parang nakaka-anxious yun mo, kasi like, di ba, sometimes you would think na either way naman, the company pays for your salary. Like, di ba, parang, but then sometimes you'll be surprised, they'll understand. Di ba? As long as, especially these days, the KPIs are being measured naman on a monthly basis. Di ba? So, as long as you get to promise na magagawa mo siya in a month, I think there's no harm in telling the people around you na, okay, sorry po, I wouldn't be able to like work longer hours during this time because I really want to rest.
Yeah.
Ayun, I feel like that's more of what our generation needs now. Yung being brave and courageous enough
To speak
to
up.
speak up
Mhm.
because sometimes awareness can only do so much. Like, okay, alam ko na I'm in my luteal phase now, so I'm feeling a bit sluggish and all that. But then sometimes if you learn to actually like use that knowledge to, manage other people's expectations from you,
Yes.
then your overall quality of life improves.
Yeah. Is there any chance na since, for example, a woman who's not really in tune with her body, meron bang parang chance na parang hindi niya na nafe-feel yung emotions niya during those different phases just because kailangan niya mag-work?
Yes, yes. Sadly. I mean, sadly kasi especially in this economy, 'di ba? Parang if you stop working for like, especially those who are, I guess, like, who get paid daily, so parang you wouldn't think of being absent from work just because masakit or you're not feeling comfortable. So, I guess it's, still hard, but at the same time, at least lang na parang you can adjust other things around you. Of course, you can't do anything about your period because it's a thing that comes every month and it's actually a sign that you're healthy.
Yes.
So you can't avoid it. And pero like for example, maybe you can have measures in place to make sure that it doesn't affect your life significantly. So for example, like it's been established nga na you get really bad period cramps monthly. So consult your doctor, seek like help from a professional and ask why. And then sometimes yun nga, they can recommend like maybe changing your diet, being more active. Yun. So, like, for example, having lifestyle modifications like that can already improve your symptoms. So, it doesn't necessarily affect your day-to-day as severely as before. So, yun. That's something that you can consider also.
Okay, so how about because you mentioned about consulting a professional, right? So, sa status usually, iba-iba kasi siya 'di ba? Especially for those
Yes.
people na parang instead of me spending this money for a consultation, I'd rather buy food for my family.
Exactly.
So, what can they do ba na parang very tools that are within their reach na pwede nilang gawin so they can just understand themselves better when it comes to their cycle?
Actually, this is exactly why this podcast exists, I guess. Because as you mentioned, of course, as much as we want healthcare to be accessible for everyone, regardless of your economic status, your profession, or your access to these things, sometimes they can rely on like what's available to them online. So resources online. But of course, they always have to do due diligence in terms of doing research. But yeah, there are a lot of available incredible sources that they can listen to online. So I'm really happy that you're starting to build that in this space. And yeah, I think that's what they can do. And then of course, I think it's mandatory for most companies to have annual physical examinations. So I'm sure that that's like free or part of their benefits. So if they have access to that, maximize it.
Yes.
Even actually all doctors, it doesn't have to be a specialist, even general physicians or practitioners like me, we should be knowledgeable about these things. So if anyone asks us, or like even our relatives, friends, we should be willing to answer and share and like let them know na, okay, I think you need to get checked up. Diba? Or at least we can refer them to specialists like OBs if we feel like it's necessary.
Yeah. Plus you mentioned yung app kanina na ginagamit mo.
Yeah, yun, yung Flow app. It's called the Flow app, so you can track your cycle. Actually, it's really cool because you can also log your symptoms there. And then if, for example, so you're trying to monitor your symptoms about like period cramps or hormonal acne or dizziness, even headaches, tension headaches. So because you wrote it down or you logged it on the app, you can always check back in next month. Do I still experience these symptoms? Also, maybe the thing I did last month worked. Like yung sinabing or yung nabasa kong tip online na maybe exercising more or walking more during your period helped in alleviating the symptoms, something like that. So, yeah, again, what gets tracked and what gets monitored gets managed.
Yeah, that's so nice. Okay, so this what I'm excited about as well. Like, ano yung mga activities that we can do during those phases na would help us sync with our body even more and perform at our best?
Yes, yes. So since we touched on it earlier, so as I
Mhm.
mentioned, so the first phase of your cycle, so day 1 to 7 is actually your menstruation. So during this time, my advice to clients, friends, patients is to take it easy.
Mhm.
Kasi this is the time where you're literally bleeding.
Yeah.
Although, actually, the science says that your hormones are actually up during this time. So, if you can work out, so ako, I still work out during my period, but not on the first and second day. Kasi usually I get period cramps. Not
Mm-mm.
extreme or severe period cramps, but I still feel uncomfortable.
By the way, when do you say na parang extreme na yung cramps? Like, meron ka bang doon,
Yes.
guide?
Well, this is just a personal guide for me.
Mm-mm.
But when I find it hard to get out of bed, like, yung I just feel like I want to curl up. Kasi
Okay.
parang I feel like when I stand up, it's like there's something
Yes.
squeezing your
Mm-mm.
stomach. Ganon. So, it's actually your uterus contracting, preparing to shed a layer, which is your mens.
Okay.
And yeah, so yun. So, for me, that's, yung parang nalilimit yung usual mobility mo in terms of, like, for example, di ba, when your alarm rings, okay, tatayo na ako, I'm gonna get ready, I'm gonna work na.
Mm-mm.
But then, when you're on your period and you have cramps, like, pagkatayo mo parang, there's something wrong.
Oo.
Or, like, hindi ko kaya mag-move as
Parang
fast
hindi ka na
as-
nagpa-function very well.
Yeah, so that's what I classify as severe. Pero meron pang mas severe doon, actually. So, I know people who really can't go out of bed. Like, as in, not even
Like the whole day?
the whole day. So, ito yung mga kailangan na talagang
Pa-check up.
pain relievers or magpa-check up.
Oh, okay.
So, yun. So, actually, it's really different from case to case kasi it also depends
Yes.
on your pain tolerance, which is
yeah.
relative din. But yeah,
Mm-mm.
ganun.
Okay. So, yun. For yung mo, during the menstruation, take it easy.
Take it easy. So, in terms of physical activity, probably you can maximize yung walks lang. Just low impact walking, maybe in the mall or on a treadmill in the gym. Basta walking, something low impact.
How many days again for the low impact? Or pwede ba na during the menstruation?
The week of the menstruation, yeah.
The whole week?
Yeah.
Low impact siya lahat?
Well, especially during the first 3 days. And usually, after day 3, that's when you can start considering returning back to your regular activities. Like, for example, for me, I go to the gym, I run sometimes. But even then, for example, sa gym, I allow myself longer rest time.
Okay.
I don't change my exercises, but sometimes, because every week I try to progress. But during the week of my period, I just maintain. So that's also one strategy.
Oh, that's
And then if you're into running, so in running kasi there are different types of workouts. So there could be like more intense workouts like speed sessions, like sprinting. But if you're running during the week of your period, you would probably want to just do an easy run. So easy effort lang.
Yeah, okay.
So just like light jog, easy run, something like that.
Okay.
And then next is your follicular phase, so day 7 to 14. So this is, as I mentioned earlier, this is when you feel like, wow, I'm a
Energy.
new person, energy. Yeah, so this is when you can probably show up more consistently in the gym, for your runs, back to regular programming. Maybe if you're the type who enjoys like going to different classes, workout classes, like yoga, Pilates, super in now, cycling. Okay, maybe you can accommodate this kasi
pati
you
yung
have more
Pilates dito
energy
siya
than usual.
sa phase na to.
Actually, Pilates can also be done during your period, but then since it involves a lot of like mobility and stretching, it might be uncomfortable.
Oh, okay.
Diba? But still, case to case, if you can, since it's still classified as low impact, you can also accommodate.
Okay, sige. So, yon. Particularly with strength training, dito siya. But, how does it look like for you? Kasi you mentioned na parang even on other days, you're also doing strength training. So, yes, case-to-case basis siya. Pero, when do you suggest to someone na, okay, even if it's after your follicular phase, okay ka mag-strength training?
Yes. But yun nga, what you can manipulate is the intensity.
Oh,
Yes. So,
gets.
parang maybe do less sets.
Mm-mm.
So, for example, usually I would do 3 sets of 10 reps of a certain exercise. Like, kunyari, squats.
Mm-mm.
But then, when you're on your period, you can just do 2 sets of 6 reps.
Oh,
You know,
okay. That's nice.
that's how you can adjust it.
Mm-mm.
But if you think about it kasi, if you remove it completely, then you only have 2 weeks of
Oo
the
nga.
month of showing up. Like gym membership, di ba, they're
Yeah.
monthly. So, parang sayang.
Oo.
And sometimes you get frustrated kasi parang, bakit walang progress? Ganon.
Yes.
Because, yun nga, usually progress, at least in the physical fitness space, it's really a byproduct of consistency.
Yes.
So, that's what I always tell my clients. Just scale down the intensity but still show up.
Oh, that's good. Kasi yun nga yung question na itatanong ko dapat. Like, paano yung consistency if
May breaks
parang
in between, diba?
yes, parang I feel like somehow we are being restricted
Yes.
with the movements. Especially if our goal is to build muscle. So, paano
Yes,
siya?
yes.
So, it's a good thing na you mentioned na you can lower
Scale the yeah.
your...
Or longer
ano.
rest time. So, usually,
Okay.
diba, usually kasi when I work out, I like timing my rest para I'm not wasting time. Like, for example, sometimes kasi diba you tend to go on your phone and then may notification and wala na.
Distracted na.
You get distracted. So, I usually time my rest time in between sets. So, that's usually a minute to maximum 3 minutes for harder exercises.
Mm-mm.
But, when you're on your period, baka you wanna extend it to like 2 minutes or 3 minutes
Yes.
to give your body more time to recover in between sets. Because
So,
your energy is low nga.
So, paano yun? Kasi yung coach ko, parang sinasabi niya nga na parang when you are working out, there's only duration of rest.
Mm-hmm.
Effective pa rin ba siya if prolonged yung rest mo?
Yes. It's
Ay, okay.
effective because actually the muscles recognize stimuli, which is something that it receives from the load. So, the volume of what you're lifting, pwedeng may weights or body weight, that's the load kasi that's still the weight of your body, diba? And volume. So, your number of reps and your number of sets. Yung rest is something that adds onto it, pero parang nasa third priority na siya.
Oh.
So, yes, it's still significant, but then, parang if you were to prioritize, basta makuha mo yung load and yung reps, meron pa rin siyang benefit.
Oh, that's nice. That's good to know. Okay. So, any other activities that is suitable for follicular?
Follicular, yeah. Basically, you can do everything. Walking, maybe if you're into the outdoors, this is also when you can consider like booking hiking trips.
Oh,
or,
okay.
yeah, a lot of people are starting to get into running now. So,
Mm-mm.
yeah. But then again, my tip lang is, of course, you can't sync naman these events all the time, right? So, just be ready to adjust. Like, for example, like you booked a trip or you booked a race, you're joining a fun run, and it falls on the week of your period. So, this has happened to me multiple times. But yun, parang just manage your expectations. Okay, so for this run, I'm not gonna expect to hit a personal record.
So
But-
basically, it's giving yourself some grace.
Yes, giving yourself some grace. Exactly. Yes.
Okay, that's nice. And then the next one is ovulation. Tama?
Yes, ovulation.
Okay.
So, actually, this is still pretty related to your follicular phase. So, aside from energy, actually, tumataas rin yung libido during this time.
Oh,
So,
okay.
which also drives, yun nga, parang willingness to do things. Not just in a
Yes.
sexual way, but like, interest in like getting yourselves into different activities. Yeah, so, same lang siya actually. Yung trend.
Oh, okay.
And then, you enter your luteal phase. So, ano na yun, yung parang winter season.
Okay.
This is when your energy starts to dip. So, actually, now I'm in my luteal phase.
I feel like we're the same.
yeah, I'm in my luteal phase. And then, actually, how I found out was I was working out in the gym nung Monday. And then, parang I feel so weak. Like, I would do this last week. Kunyari, the exercise is pull-ups. Last week, I did 10 reps. And this week, I was struggling with 8. So, you know what I did? I checked my flow app. And then I saw 5 days until your period.
Oh.
So, okay. So, I don't feel bad. Diba? Kasi it's not because I'm weak, but it's because my body is not as strong. Yeah. So yun. So, parang instead of getting frustrated, I pushed through with my workout. And actually, I felt better because I realized na, I'm still showing up. Diba?
Yes.
Even if my body is not 100%.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what I hope more women realize. Because, again, consistency really beats intensity every time. Especially
Oh,
if you
that's
want
nice.
to see progress with your fitness and sometimes even in other areas of your life, diba?
Yes.
Like, you don't really have to be intense all the time, but you have to be consistent.
Like, yung first few weeks mo is pure intensity, tapos biglang nawala.
yeah, diba? You would rather be like consistently good than occasionally great.
Yes. And siguro, it also depends on what consistency is for you.
Yes,
You
yes,
mentioned
exactly.
kanina yung showing up. I think
Yeah.
it gives a different perspective
Mhm.
in the context of consistency. Kasi nga, when you show up, and you just basically show up for yourself, diba?
Yeah.
That can also be a form of consistency.
Yes, exactly.
Mm-mm.
So sometimes nga, actually a lot of clients say na parang, Coach, I can't get myself to go to the gym kasi I know na mahirap yung gagawin ko. Like, diba?
Mm-mm.
Mahirap pag-workout eh.
Oo,
Honestly,
oo.
diba? It's not second nature to most of us.
Yes.
Especially those who don't have like athletic background at all. But
Yeah.
what I always tell them is, just go. And then if you can't bring yourself to lift weights or do strength training, just walk on the treadmill.
Mm-mm.
Because what that does is that it teaches your brain na when I commit to something, I'll deliver. And that
Mm-mm.
builds confidence. And that confidence is something that you can harp on whenever you have self-doubts na parang kaya ko ba mas maging
oo.
healthy? And then you remind yourself na, kasi diba like last month, I actually showed up like 5 times.
Mm-mm.
Diba? So yun. So
It gets easy.
It gets easy.
Okay, I see. So, any other activities that you can do during your luteal phase?
Okay, so luteal phase, same. Actually, this phase is actually when I would start tapering down the
Mhm.
intensity. Kasi diba parang it's like luteal phase, so you don't really feel great. And then menstrual phase, and then akyat siya ulit. So,
Oo.
eto, like, I slowly adjust. So, like this week, I'm actually on my luteal phase. So, I should still show up. But when I can't deliver 100%, I'm just more understanding and
Mm-mm.
graceful with myself.
Yeah, okay. So, I want to ask you about how will you educate the people around that woman was undergoing different phases, ganyan. Especially siguro, partner, ganyan. Or yung mga kasama sa bahay. How would you
Mhm.
explain this to them? And how would you encourage them to give some grace and space? Especially if it's something
The
na
opposite sex, no? Kasi they don't understand.
yes,
diba?
especially if it's kasi 'di ba iba-iba nga yung it's case to case basis. And for
Yes.
other women, like meron nagfe-faint talaga. And
Mhm.
some baka mamaya yung iba would say na arte lang 'yan,
Mhm,
ganun.
mhm. So, just really share the science behind it. So,
Mm-mm.
start with the science, like the facts na, for example, for your partner, actually, I don't feel good today kasi ganito, like, I'm in my luteal phase. So, honestly, they won't understand. But when
Mm-mm.
they see you na consistently going through it, they won't understand immediately. But when they
Mm-mm.
see you consistently going through it, like, every month, and your patterns are consistent, they start
Yes.
realizing na, parang, okay, she's probably on her period. That's why she's
Mm-mm.
not as, like, energetic or maybe that's why she's starting to get, like, a little cranky.
Yes.
So, just be patient with them also. Because
Mm-mm.
sometimes we can't expect rin na they'll get it the moment that you explain it.
Mm-mm.
Sometimes they have to see you go through it to understand. But at the same time also, have some restraint and respect.
Yeah.
Maintain that all the time. So, again, being aware with your symptoms, where you are in your cycle. Of course, now that you're aware, you know that you can regulate it already.
Yes.
So, like,
Mm-mm.
let's give another analogy. So, for example, diba, when we were children, we really didn't know the definition of good and bad. Like,
Yeah.
diba?
Mm-mm,
Parang,
mm-mm.
but when your parents start educating you na, it's actually not good to get something that's not yours.
Mhm.
You know it na. And then when
Yeah.
you know it na, you can control yourself.
Yes.
Diba? So when you know na, okay, magka-period na ako, so I'm starting to get a little bit more impatient, I know it na. So, okay, medyo mas control na ako ngayon.
Mm-mm.
Diba? So you're
Mm-mm.
not like letting impulse act.
Yes. Mm-mm.
So yeah,
Yeah, so it starts from you din talaga.
it starts from you.
So, another question that I have for you is, since we already have knowledge about different phases and we can speak up for ourselves, so where do you draw the line between showing up for ourselves, speaking up, versus making these as an excuse for people to understand us better and to be kinder to us, ganon?
So I guess this is something that we can relate to playing victim
Yeah.
sometimes, diba? And I guess at the end of the day, it will just really boil down on how you want to be perceived as a woman and as a person. So if you're the type who wants to be or aims to always be in control of the things that happened around you, then I guess it's just fair for the people around you to really draw the line, or for you to draw the line in terms of like being considerate also for for others, and
Yes.
like as I mentioned earlier, like having that respect for the people around you,
Yeah.
na not to demand too much rin naman from them in terms of being extra considerate.
These are big words, ha?
Yeah. So, like, I guess it also helps if you think of it in a way that this is something that will happen to you inevitably monthly. Monthly, diba?
Yeah.
So, if you allow it to take control over your life and your every
Yes.
month of the year, then at the end of the day, ikaw rin yung talo eh.
Totoo, totoo.
So, yeah, that's my only advice, I guess. Be in control of your circumstances, because again, these things are natural processes that happen to you, but you can always control how you react to it or how you can use it to your advantage. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's really, really good. Okay, so, eto naman, usually kasi, like, for example, yung ate ko, when I was still a child, ganyan. Parang narinig ko sa kanya na parang, ayoko na maging babae, ang hirap na pinagdadaanan ko, ganyan. Which is true,
True, yeah.
to some extent. But, my question is, from your own perspective, okay, as a woman who takes care of your well-being holistically, how would you explain, or how does it look like to be a woman on stepping into her femininity, ganyan, despite all these chaotic experiences? How would you explain to those people na parang ayoko na mga babae dahil dito?
Like,
What's the beauty behind that?
those who get discouraged by
Yes.
all of the disadvantages and the unfair
Yeah.
circumstances that we have to face as women. Honestly, first is acknowledging that we are always fighting for something as women, right? Like for equality, for our
Yes.
voices to be heard, for us to be seen in
Yes.
male-dominated spaces. So,
True.
accepting that fact just really motivates you even more. Eh? So, use it instead of using it as something that forces you to shrink
Yeah.
into your own little shell. Use it as something that motivates you. So, for example, that has always been my drive ever since, that I didn't want to be seen as the inferior sex. So, that has pushed me to aim higher, at least in my own like fields or in my own little ways, because I always, at the back of my mind, I always want to make sure that I'm making the younger version of me proud. So, even in that
nice.
sense, parang you're more motivated to do things. Eh. Like, for example, when you feel like, parang walang nangyayari. Or like, why am I not getting opportunities that I want? Or why am I not, like, reaching the milestones that I've set for myself yet? Whenever those things happen, just look back at, like, for example, 10 years ago, like, would that younger version of you be proud? And if the answer is yes, then just keep going. Then, before you know it, parang you'll already, like, make significant progress and milestones in whatever it is that you're trying to work on. So, I guess just being fueled by that helps you show up and really be more confident in your own skin as a woman. And
yeah.
in return, like, you also empower other women. Diba? Like, especially kunyari, in my space of fitness, like before, actually in the 1960s, I just recently made like a content about this, but in the 1960s, like, women went to the gym to just slim down.
Oh.
Like, weird yung workouts nila before. Eh. Like, talagang sinasculpt yung waist nila. So, parang it was never a space for us to gain something. It's always just lose fat, lose your belly.
For men, ganun.
For women. For men, like, it's always about, like, building their body.
I mean, they're doing that for men.
For men, yes,
Oh,
yes, for
okay.
men. So, now, my motivation is, before when I started going to the gym, wala, as in, medyo, ano lang talaga yung tapang lang talaga.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I would be the only female in the weight room. And so, And honestly, at that time, I was just thinking na I'm just focusing on myself. Like, wala akong pake what other people are thinking. Like, what is she doing here?
Yes.
Like, why is she here? This is like a men's space, right? But then I realized na when you put your blinders on and just focus on what you should be doing or what you think will improve your craft, whatever that is, you actually make progress. And the thing is, I didn't realize this until people started applying for coaching for me. And usually they would say na, Coach, I can't go to the gym. I have anxiety. Or it's all men. Or I'm intimidated. And then that's when I realized na, okay, there's actually a gap. Or there's actually really a problem. Because not all women at the start can feel this empowered. So that's when I felt my calling. Like I felt like, okay, maybe I should post more para people see na, women can go to the gym pala and they won't look bulky or they won't, they
That's
won't look
actually
like
the fear
men.
of
a
most
lot of
women.
yes.
Parang ayoko maging maskulado.
Oo, or like, baka gym, pang lalaki lang yan. Maybe I should just stick to like cardio, ganun. But now, actually, I feel more confident sometimes when I go to the gym and I see that I'm lifting heavier than some men.
Yes.
So, I mean, I don't mean to offend anyone, but it just gives a different kind of confidence. Because nga, like I mentioned earlier, by default kasi, society has different expectations from us.
True.
Like, kunyari, parang before, diba, like, yung norm talaga is only the males will work, the females will stay at home. But now, look at us now. Like,
Yes.
diba? And then it all started with just a couple of females who had the courage to break the norm.
Yeah.
Work, even when they were expected to stay home. So I guess that also applies in other fields like, fitness. What else? Yeah, other fields.
Yeah. And I also want to siguro, before we wrap up, oh my gosh, ang bilis ng oras. Like, kasi ako, the reason why I go to the gym is because I want to build muscle for my knees.
Yeah.
Kasi we have a client, he's bone coach sa US. Siya yung parang he talks about osteoporosis and stuff. Tapos siguro dahil sa lifestyle ko, sedentary ganyan, work from home, parang I feel discomfort in my knees. And yun sabi niya, for you to be able to support your knees, kailangan you have to build muscle.
Strong muscles around it. Yes.
And the reason why I'm sharing it is because for also the listeners to understand na working out is not just for you to look good.
Yes.
But also for the entirety of your well-being din, yung ganong factor. So, you want to add to that?
Yeah. I'm happy that you're actually talking about it and you actually know, because not a lot of people know about that, because a lot of people think na you only go to the gym to achieve a certain physique.
Yes.
Or to achieve a certain body weight, body fat percentage. So it's always associated with what you lose. But actually, working out is a lot more related to what you gain from it. So for example, yun nga, with working out, you get stronger bones. Because the stimulus of bone reproduction is actually weight-bearing. So if not just lifting weights, you can just walk or run. Yun. So it helps build stronger bones. Aside from that, muscle mass, like what you mentioned, diba, you wanted to build muscle mass, is actually the best predictor of longevity. So when you're much older, like when you reach your 60s, you will realize this kasi with more muscle mass you have, you're less prone to getting like fractures. Hindi ka madudulas randomly. And you just really have more structure to support you as you perform your daily activities, like lifting your bags, carrying your groceries, going up a flight of stairs, carrying your grandchildren. So I guess just having this perspective really adds a deeper reason on why you should start working out as early as now. So it's never too late, guys. If you haven't, and you don't really have to sign up for a gym membership to start. You can really just start with home-based workouts. So there are a lot of resources available online which you can start with. And then when you've built the habit of consistency, maybe that's when you can focus on progression. So going to the gym, having more specific goals, getting into sports. So yeah.
Yeah, so anong age dapat, if you want to, kasi you mentioned a while ago, like for future purposes, like for example, carrying your grandkids, I think it's really good na people understand the kumbaga pinaka-benefit nito, which is being able to still, yung parang mobility mo.
Functional.
Yes, at the age of 60, ganyan. It's not just about, having great physique, diba? Pero, so if you want to have that kind of health or strength at the age of 60, anong age ka ideally dapat nag-start? Nag-workout as part of your lifestyle?
Okay. So, actually, the earlier the better talaga. I wouldn't really mention an age because that might discourage other people from starting. So,
Okay.
for example, my mom is, sorry mom for revealing your age, but she's close to 60 and she's been sedentary most of her life. Well, she was active and then she got pregnant and then medyo na busy na, so nawala na. Which is like the situation of most people.
Yes.
Right? Like life gets in the way, but so I would recommend just starting as soon as you can. If you're not yet, or if you don't have a fitness routine yet, start now. So the best time is now. The best time is as early as possible, as early as you can. And even when you're going through different life stages, like let's say pregnancy, there's still types of movement that can be customizable to you. So don't let your, like for example, handicaps like that limit you from trying even just like simple movements like walking, body weight exercises. So sometimes kasi we think, or a lot of people think that you have to do something revolutionary to start. Like yun nga, parang you have to be intense right away. But then the thing is, you just really have to be consistent with the little things, the little movements, and then eventually you'll see progress.
Yeah,
yun.
parang something that they can commit.
Yes, something that they can commit
Kasi
to.
pag if it's too extreme na kaagad, ang hirap i-sustain.
Yes. So actually, kahit yung mga actually what's nice now is like mga LGUs natin, I think especially in Quezon City, I think they're starting to come up with initiatives na may mga pabarangay Zumba, mga ganon, right? Or here in Tomas Morato, I think there's like car-free Sundays. So at least that can be a way to bond with your family. In UP, you can go there and get some fresh air. Yung mga ganon. So siguro aside from building the habit early, one thing that I would also really recommend is having accountability.
Yes.
If not to your family or partner, friends, you can look for someone who will hold you accountable, or get a coach. Because sometimes kasi, like, sometimes we can't show up for ourselves eh. Like, kunyari, we can't, like, if it's for yourself na okay na yan. Pero, isipin mo when you work out, you're actually thinking about your family, your kids, your husband. You're working on a better version of you or a healthier version of you for the sake of them also.
Yes,
diba?
that's
So,
true.
maybe just having that extra layer of motivation might help you show up for yourself.
Yeah. And speaking of accountability, since you're a coach, can you walk us through lang, how does your program look like? Parang, what kind of accountability can I get if I enroll sa program mo?
Okay, so I started online coaching actually in 2021. And then since then, our structure has more or less been the same. So basically, a client signs up, and then we get all of their information. We have them fill out a form, which is a bit lengthy, just so we really get a good background of what their current baseline is. And then after that, we hop on an onboarding call. So this is when we explain everything about the program. We have a nutrition plan or guide. We don't give meal plans because that's beyond our scope, but we do teach them strategies that will help them manage your nutrition better. So, and it's different from client
Do you
to client.
request your clients na kumuha sila ng
Nutritionist?
nutrient deficiency test?
Not really. Kasi especially with vitamins and minerals, it's not practical, mahal. And
Okay.
second is usually there are symptoms that will manifest, that will point to a nutrition deficiency. But
Okay.
for women lang pinaka-common kasi is iron deficiency anemia. So this one is probably an exception because you can get this with our simple CBC lang, which is mura lang. Walang 1,000 pesos.
Yeah.
CBC. So, yung hemoglobin, pag mababa, that can signal na you're deficient in iron. And this is common in people who don't eat or consume red meat or very green leafy vegetables. So, yun lang. But everything else, like other minerals and vitamins, we don't really have them checked. Kasi, another common vitamin deficiency in the States is vitamin D, which is something that you get from sunlight. So, not really sunlight, pero precursor yung sunlight. So, dito naman sa Philippines, it's so hot.
Yes.
So, it's not very common. And then, so after the onboarding call, we give them the nutrition guide, the training plan. The training plan is customized to their physical fitness level and their available equipment. So, some of our clients work out at the comfort of their home, especially during the pandemic. And some naman work out in the gym.
And nasusustain nila yon because of your program.
Yes. Actually, what I recommend is choose, like, for example, a facility that is most accessible to you. So, it doesn't have to be a gym. If
Yeah.
kayang mas home workouts, okay lang yun. It's still effective. And then, yun, maybe if you start seeing a plateau in your progress, that's when you can move to a gym. But sometimes kasi going to a gym has a lot of barriers, like
Yeah.
yung opening hours of the gym,
Mm-mm.
traffic,
Travel.
parking, travel, diba? So
Yes.
parang rather na hindi mo magawa yung workout, maybe just scale down to home workouts. Ganun. Yeah, and then another thing is, so the accountability part actually comes through the weekly check-ins via Zoom. So we meet our clients every week, and then we go through their workouts, what they did. So basically, they run the program asynchronously, so they can work out at their own time. We don't really supervise them in Zoom. Because a lot of online coaches, that's what they do naman. Sometimes yung
Yes.
parang pinapanood nila na
Oo.
nag-workout. So we actually don't do that. Although I've handled a couple of one-on-one clients face-to-face naman. So I go to them and then they work out. But recently, it's been hard to accommodate. So everything's
Yes.
online para at least we don't have to depend on each other's schedules na. So yun. And then weekly, we check in with them, ask them what went wrong, what went well, what are the
Yeah.
barriers that are keeping you from hitting our targets. And then yun, they share. Now, sometimes it's not even related to the workouts or the training itself, but like the other factors of their life that may be affecting how they show up for those workouts. So, yeah, we give new targets. So, sometimes kasi, for example, we set really high targets the first week. And then they fail to meet it. So, we adjust to their level. It's not like we keep those targets. Kasi, yung mangyayari doon is the client will just get frustrated. So, we
Yes.
always have to meet them where they're at.
Oh,
So, I guess that's where the value of our program comes in. Because a lot of coaches, they will just throw you a program and then bahala ka na. Diba? So, kami kasi we really want to empower the clients na hindi kaya mo yan. Whatever you can give will meet that. Para we can kick off your fitness journey. And it's something that you can sustain in the long run. Even
Okay.
without us.
Yeah. Actually,
So,
maganda yun,
yeah.
no? Kasi nga parang we also don't like to be fully dependent.
Yes. We encourage autonomy talaga for our clients. Kasi, di ba, parang at the end of the day, you would want to wake up and get yourself to work out with it without it feeling like a chore.
Yeah.
Di ba? Parang
True.
hinahanap na ng body mo.
Mm-mm.
That's the moment where you realize na, oh my gosh, I made it.
Yeah, I made it.
Hinahanap ko na yung workout. Ganon.
Okay, sige. Any last piece of advice for those women na medyo nag-struggle with because of being women?
Well, I think we've talked about it earlier already, but yeah, just own it. Own being a woman.
Yeah.
There are disadvantages to it, but personally, I think there are more advantages
Yeah.
of being a woman. And I guess it's just a matter of knowing these advantages which you can harp on and use to, become a better version of yourself. And of course, don't let what society thinks discourage you.
True.
Always look out for potential opportunities for growth that stimulate you, make you, challenge you actually, because that's the only way talaga that you evolve to become a better version of yourself.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much. Okay, any other programs, ganyan? Where can they find you?
Oh, you guys can follow me at Move Morgan on Instagram and TikTok, so you guys can engage in my videos. And if you have topics that you want me to probably talk about, you can leave it in the comments so we can open up the discussion and hopefully reach more people and empower more people in the
Yes,
process.
and if they want to join your program, same then.
Yeah, you can click the link on my Instagram bio.
Oh, okay. Nice. Thank you so much, Morgan. I
Thanks,
enjoyed the
guys. Thank you
conversation.
for
I
having
learned
me.
a lot.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, actually, ang dami natin pinag-usapan. Pero more than anything, it's like being able to see and to feel the power within us
Yes,
as
yes.
women. Kahit na,
We go through all stages
Yes.
and phases.
oh,
Yes.
yeah. And thanks for doing what you do.
Oh, thank you.
It's very
And
inspirational.
thank you also for giving us this platform. I mean, I'm sure all of your guests feel like it's a safe space to talk about issues that we don't really, because sometimes if you just suddenly pull out the mic and then just talk about this, like, it's not as comfortable.
Yeah,
If you're not
oo.
in the space na, na, okay, there's a community that already trusts you.
Mm-mm.
So, I'm sure they'll be open to listen to your guests also.
Yeah, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank
So,
you.
follow her. And if you have other topics you want us to discuss regarding holistic health, specifically mental health, just let us know. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And yeah, I'll see you again on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.